once again, and today we're going to do products and take you through step by step on how to do products. Alright, firstly we need to know that products, once you see the word product means you have to multiply. You have to multiply because product is really the answer to a multiplication example. So product means you have to multiply. So let's take some very simple examples. If you're doing products, you first have to know your basics. Right. Simple basics. Especially you have to know your rules of integers. You have to know that 2 times minus 3 is minus 6. You have to know minus 2 times minus 5. In other words, a negative times a negative is positive. Now you have to know these rules off by heart. Right? Well, if you don't know it off by heart, go and use the calculator. Right. Then number 3, you need to know that, say, 5 times A is 5A. You need to know that A times A. Now here we are using the rule of powers, that the index here is 1, that the index here is 1, and that therefore A squared, 1 times A1 is A squared. So you've got to know the rules of powers. Okay, then you'd have to know that, for example, A times B is just AB. We can't add the indices, we just write it down like that. So you've got to know these basics. You've got to know your integer rules and you've got to know your power rules. So if I just do one more, say m squared times m cubed, then you'll say, well, that's m, 2 plus 3, 5. So you've got to know all these rules. Right. So I'm going to give you a little exercise on products to make sure that you have remembered all these rules and that you know the basics. So here are the questions, and now you see this is minus 5.4. Minus 5.4. Now you have to remember that in products, you can have multiply or asterisk or dot or brackets. All these mean multiply, right? That X, I mean like an X or an asterisk or a dot or brackets means multiply. So this one also means multiply. Then you got 6 asterisk 3. So the asterisk means multiply. Then you got half times 4. Now you got brackets here. Brackets also means multiply. Then you got A times A. Now let me just remove these from here. Then number 7, M times N. Number 8, A squared times A cubed. Number 9, 5 times A. Number 10, minus 5 times minus 10A. And then let's put number 11 and 12 here. Number 11, you got 5A times minus 3A squared. And number 12, you've got xy times x squared y cubed. Alright, so you've got this exercise. Just go through them and just refreshen your mind on all the basics before we go into more details in product. Alright, so you can stop the DVD here and try this exercise and then come back when you've completed and we will give you the answers. Alright, try it. So you're back. Good. Now here are the answers. So minus 2 times minus 3, remember minus times plus is minus, so you got minus 6. Minus times minus is plus, 2 times 4, 8. Minus times plus, the plus is understood, is minus. 5 times 4, 20. 6 times 3, asterisk means times. 6 times 3, 18. Half times 4, which means half of 4, which is 2. Right, now you got a times a, so you have to remember your power rules. Write down the common base one time. Write down the common base one time. Then add the indices. There's an index 1 here, there's an index 1 here. 1 plus 1 will give you 2. Now you're multiplying m times n. Now the bases are different, so you cannot add the indices. The bases are different. You cannot add the indices. So you just multiply. M times n is just m, n just written next to one another like that. No sign in between, nothing, just like that. Right, back to number 8. A squared times a cubed, the bases are the same, or the bases are common, so therefore just write down the base only one time. And then add the indices. 2 plus 3, 5. 5 times a, the bases are different, so you cannot add the indices. You cannot add the indices. So the index is 1, but you cannot add it. So you just multiply them and just write it next to one another like that. 5 times a is 5a. Right, number 10. Now, you got minus times minus, that will give you plus. Then you got 5 times 10, that will give you 50, and you will write down the a there. So the answer is 58. Alright, let's move on to number 11. So number 11, you got plus times minus, which is minus. 5 times 3, which is 15. A and A, the bases are the same. Write down A. And then add the indices. The index here is 1, which is understood. And the index there is 2. And if I add it, 1 plus 2 will give me 3. And finally, number 12. Finally, number 12. The bases are the same. X and X, Y and Y. So I will write down the base one time. So you write X one time, you write Y one time. Then you add the indices. For X it is 1 here, plus the 2 there, gives me 3. I'll repeat. Write down the common base once, add the indices 1 plus 2, 3. Now we're going to look at Y. The base is Y, the base is Y. The index here is understood to be 1, so there's the 1. 1 plus 3 gives me 4. So it's x cubed y to the 4. Now if you want to do products, and if you don't know this basics, and if you can't give the answer as fast as lightning, then you're going to have problems with products. So you must know this, you must know these rules. Basically it's integer rules, number 1, and number 2, power rules. So you must know integer rules and power rules before we move on. So you should be getting 12 out of 12 in this section before we can move on. Alright, so sit back and relax. This is the basics that you must know for us to continue with products. And now we're going to move on to products itself. Okay. Alright, let's do some simple products. Let's do some examples. So let's say number 1, example number 1. I tell you 5 times x plus 2. So it's products and you're trying to multiply. So you're going to say, well, 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 2 is 10. So that's how you, so your product is 5x plus 10. Right, let's do another example. Number 2. 3 into x minus 2. Right, so you will say 3 times x is 3x. 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. You see, you've got to know your integer rules. It's minus 6. So that's your product, 3x minus 6. Right, let's move on to number 3. Let's look at example 3. If I gave you minus 5 into x minus 2, then you will say, well, a minus 5 times x, but this is minus and that's plus. So it will be plus, minus times plus is minus. 5 times x is 5x. So you see, you've got to know these basics which we were doing earlier on. And then you're going to say minus 5 times minus 2. You're saying minus 5 times minus 2. So a minus times a minus is plus. And 5 times 2 is 10. So this answer, or the product, is minus 5 plus 10. Right, now pay very careful attention to this one. Minus into x minus 7. Now, what's understood here? The number 1 is understood, you see. So, minus 1 times x will give you minus 1x. Minus 1 times minus 7. You see, you got minus 1 times minus 7. Minus times minus is plus. 1 times 7 is 7. Alright, so this is the simplest products that you have to do. I'm just going to do a few more examples. But this is the simplest of products. And what we're doing over here is actually we're using a rule called the distributive law. That's what we're doing. We're using the distributive law. And I'm saying products. Another teacher can say apply the distributive law. It means to do this exactly what I'm showing you. Or somebody else might tell you remove the brackets. Use distributive law here means the same thing. Remove brackets here means the same thing. It means find the products. But strictly speaking, what we're doing is applying the distributive law. Alright, so that's how you do it. I'm going to do a few more examples. Alright, number 5, x into x plus y. Okay, so you'll say, well, the moment you read this example, you can see you got powers involved here. So it'll be x times x. The bases are the same. You see, you're saying x times x. The bases are the same. The index is 1, the index is 1. So you're going to add those two indices up. So this becomes x squared. So the first part is x squared. Then you're going to multiply x by y. So that will be plus x y. Because the bases are different, so you just write down x, y together like that. Let's move on to number 6. Right, number 6. X squared into x plus y squared. Well, you're going to multiply x squared times x. The index there is 1, the index here is 2. So for this part, it will be x cubed. Write down the common base once, add the indices. Now the second part, you are multiplying those two. In other words, you're multiplying x squared times y squared. That's what you're doing. You're multiplying x squared times y squared. Now the bases are different, so you just write them down together like that. That is why we write here x squared, y squared. Alright, so let's do one more. Number 7. Now it could be any letter, say minus m into m cubed, or let's make it squared. Minus m squared into m cubed minus n. And I can have any number of letters in the bracket. I can even put 3 here. Doesn't matter. So the rule is still the same. So you're going to multiply distributive law minus m times m cubed. So minus times plus will give you minus. Write down m. 2 plus 3 will give you 5. Then we're multiplying these two. Minus m squared times minus m. So minus times minus will give you plus m squared, and this is m to the 1. So it will give you m cubed. And then you're multiplying minus m times 3. Now minus times plus will give you minus m squared and 3, the bases are different, so you will just write down 3m squared. So that's your answer. So this is examples of basics of products. Alright, so these examples will be sufficient. Let me give you a little exercise now based on this, and you can try them and see how well you're doing. Alright, let's move on and get you an exercise. Alright, so in the previous exercise you went up till number 12. So now I'm going to give you number 13 onwards. So number 13 would be 2 into a plus 5. Number 14, minus 2 into a minus 4. Number 15, minus into 5 minus x. Number 16, a into a minus 3. Number 17, b into b minus c. And number 18, xy into y minus 4. All right. Let's finish this little group first. Mark them, and then I will give you more examples to do. All right. So try this group up till 18. Get the feel of it, and then we'll give you more examples. Okay, so there you are. Good. Right, let's see, what did you do? So you said 2 times a is 2a, 2 times 5, both is plus, so it will be plus. 2 times 5, 10. And you got that right, very good. Now minus 2 times a gives you minus 2a. And minus times minus gives you plus. 2 times 4 gives you 8. Right. Now, there's no number here. Well, I know you are clever. You know that 1 is understood. So there's the 1. So minus times plus. No plus is written here. The plus is understood. So you see, in maths, you must understand that if I give you x like this, then it is really 1x. It is also 1x to the 1. This 1 is understood. That 1 is understood. Even the plus sign is understood. So, if I tell you x, it is really 1x. If I tell you x, it is really 1x to the 1. If I tell you x, it is really plus 1x to the 1. So the plus sign is understood, this 1 is understood, the index 1 is understood. Understood means it is there, but it is not written. Okay, so minus times plus gives me minus. 1 times 5 is 5. Now, so we multiply these two. Now we're multiplying those two. Minus times minus gives me plus. 1 times x is 1x. Right, let's move on. A times a, the bases are the same, so I can add the indices, you see. So write down the base only once and add the indices. 1 plus 1, 2. Then a times minus 3. Well, firstly this is plus. Plus times minus is minus. A times 3 is 3a. Right, let's move on to number 17. b times b. Well, these are powers. The index here is 1, the index here is 1. Write down the base, the common base, or write down the same base only one time. So I write it down one time and then add the indices. 1 plus this 1 gives me 2. Then plus times minus gives me minus. B times C gives me B, C. Right, number 18. Now you got xy times y. So when you're multiplying this, you got x here, but you haven't got x there. You got y here and you got y there. So you got two bases here. You got the base x, you got the base y. Write them down like that first. Then x is 1, so it remains 1 like that. I don't have to write the 1. But y, there's 1 here and there's 1 here, so you add those two 1s, you get 2. So it is x squared, xy squared. Then xy times minus 4. Well, firstly, plus times minus is minus. There's a 1 here that is understood. So 1 times 4 is 4, and xy is written next to it like that. Okay. So these ones were understood. In other words, it was not written there and we have to know that it is there. Alright, I hope you got them all right so far. And now I'm going to give you a few more examples to try and strengthen yourself and make yourself confident. Alright, so I'm going to let this run for a few seconds so that you can mark your work, and then after that we will give you more examples to do. Let's move on, let's give you more examples. Number 19, xy times 5 minus x squared y squared. Number 20, xy times 5xy minus x squared y squared. Number 21, AB into AB minus 5a squared b cubed. Number 22, a squared b cubed into ab squared minus a squared b squared. Alright, and let's put in number 23 here. Number 23, ny into my minus ny. Right, so you can stop the DVD here and try them. Remember your rules of signs, your integer rules and your power rules. Take your time and work them out, and then we will help you with the solutions after that. Alright, so try it and see what you can do. Okay, so you're back. Good. Let's get the answers for you. So xy times 5 is 5xy. You got xy here and you got xy. Oh, firstly, plus times minus is minus. Now you got xy and xy, so write down xy, write down the base. 1 plus 2 is 3. So finished for the x, then do the y. 1 plus 2 is 3. Right, let's go to number 20. So plus times plus is plus, so that's okay. 1 times 5 is 5. You see the 1 is understood. Then we got xy here and we got xy here. So let's write down xy. Now the index here is 1 and 1 is understood and 1 and 1 is understood. So 1 plus 1 for x gives me 2. 1 plus 1 for y gives me 2. So that's the first part. Then plus times minus gives me minus x to the 1, x to the 2. Add it up, 1 plus 2. Alright, firstly let's write down the base. See the base is xy, xy. Write it down. Now 1 plus 2, 3. 1 plus 2, 3. Okay, let's move on with 21. You got AB and you got AB, so write down the bases 1 time. Add the indices up, 1 plus 1 for A will give you 2. 1 plus the 1 for B will give you 2. So that's A squared, B squared. Plus times minus is minus. You got AB and you got AB. So, and you got a 5 also. So 1 times 5 is 5. Then AB, AB, just write down AB. 1 plus that 2. 1 plus that 2 gives me 3. 1 plus the 3 gives me 4. Check. 1 plus the 3 gives me 4. When you're doing examples like this, it's very important to go back and check your work. For example, AB, AB, write down AB. 1 plus 1, 2, yes. 1 plus 1, 2, yes. Plus times minus, minus, yes. 1 times 5, 5, yes. A and A. 1 plus 2, 3, correct. 1 plus 3, 4, correct. So it's important to also check your work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write here the word check. Because when you're doing work, it's very, very important to check your work. So you must check, especially in examples like this. Right, let's roll. Okay. Now, AB, AB. So I'll just write down the common base once. 2 plus this 1 gives me 3. Check. 2 plus this 1 gives me 3. 3 plus 2 gives me 5. Plus times minus is minus. A squared, A squared. 2 plus 2 gives me, oh sorry, let me write down the bases first. AB and AB, write down the base. Then 2 plus 2 gives you 4. Then 3 plus 2 gives you 5. Okay. So you see, if you don't know your rules of powers, you'll be in trouble. You've got to know your rules of powers, which is basically write down the common base once and add the indices. Alright, let's do number 23. Now, you see, when you look here, you got M, N, Y. When you look there, you only got M, Y. So this one rules. So you must write down M, N, Y because you got 3 bases. So I write down M, N, Y. Must write all 3 bases down. Now you will add. There's a 1 there and there's a 1 here. So that will give me 2. There's an N here and there's nothing there. So that N will remain the same. Then the Y, there's a 1 here and a 1 there. So that 1 and that 1, when you add it, you get 2. Okay. Right. Then plus times minus gives me minus. Once again, I'm multiplying this by that. So if I'm multiplying this by that, there's 3 bases here. I must write down all 3 bases down. Now watch. M is 1, but there's no M here. Watch again. There's M here, but there's no M here. So the M just remains the same, which is M to the 1. But now the N here is 1, And the n here is 1. So that 1 and this 1 gives me 2. And finally for the y, there's a 1 here and there's a 1 here. 1 plus 1 gives me 2. So that's your answer for number 23. We're going to let it roll for a while and then you can mark your work and check. Right. I'm sure you're feeling excited now. You want to do more examples. Well, the truth is, practice makes perfect. You can't do just 1 or 2 examples and think you know it. You got to do lots and lots of examples. So here's some more. Enjoy yourself. Right, number 24. 2 into A minus 3 plus B. Number 25. Minus 2 into x squared minus x minus 2. Number 26. Minus x into x squared minus x. Sorry about that. Let's clean up properly. Okay. X squared. Number 26. X squared minus x minus 2. Number 27. Minus 2x into x squared minus x minus 2. Number 28. Minus into x squared minus x minus 2. And finally, the last one, number 29. Minus 2x squared minus 2x squared into x squared minus x minus 2. All right. It may take you a few seconds to take the questions down. Well, take them down, right? You see from here to here, the second bracket is exactly the same. Right, take them down, try them. Just in case you forgot how to do these examples, you will have to multiply a by 2, then you'll have to multiply 3 by 2, then you'll have to multiply b by 2. See, so you'll have to multiply 3 times. Alright, well, try them and see. Or let me just do number 1 for you. 2 times a is 2a, plus times minus is minus, 2 times 3 is 6. Plus times plus is plus. 2 times b is 2b. So that's what I mean by you have to multiply 3 times and your answer has 3 terms in the end there like that. Alright, go and try them and let's see what you can do with them. Okay, welcome back. Here are your solutions for number 25 to 29. So in number 25, you're multiplying 3 times. So minus 2 times x squared will give you minus 2x squared. Minus times minus will give you plus. 2 times x will give you 2x. And then minus times minus again will give you plus. 2 times 2 will give you 4. Right, let's move on to 26. Right, minus times plus gives me minus. X times x cubed, you see. Write down the common base once, add the indices x cubed. Minus times minus gives me plus. Write down the common base once and add the indices. So the index here is 1 and the index here is 1. So it's 2. And finally, minus times minus gives me plus. X times 2 is 2x. Okay, so we are now on number 27. minus times plus will give us minus 2 times the 1 that is understood here is 2. X times x squared will give you x cubed. See, we're adding the 1 and the 2. Then minus times minus gives you plus. 2 times the 1 that is here is 2. And then x and x, write on the base ones. And 1 plus 1 is 2. Now, you see sometimes I'm writing the x like that. It's the same thing, alright? You understand? This is x. Sometimes I write it like that, sometimes I write it like that. Sorry about that. I'm being a little naughty. Maybe I should write only like this in the future. Okay. Right. Minus times x will give you minus. You see the 1 is understood here. The 1 is understood. So 1 times x squared will give you 1x squared. Minus times minus will give you plus. 1 times x will give you 1x. Minus times minus gives you plus. 1 times 2 will give you 2. And finally, number 29, minus times plus will give you minus. 2 times the 1 that is understood here is 2. You got x squared and you got x squared, write down x. 2 plus 2, 4. Next, see we're multiplying this, now we're multiplying there. Minus times minus is plus. 2 times the 1 that is understood here is 2. And you got x squared and you got x to the 1 that gives you x cubed. And finally, minus times minus is plus, and 2x squared times 2 will give you 4x squared. Alright, mark your work and hopefully you should have got them all right. Now, very important, if you're learning this section, you should learn from here till 29 and then stop. Right? Number 27, I think I forgot something there. And my cameraman is reminding me, thank you very much. Minus and minus is plus, and that will give you 2 times 2, 4x. Okay, is that alright now? Okay. So minus times minus is plus, 2x times x is 4x. Right. So very important, if you're learning products, you can learn all this, maybe it'll take you 1.5 hours or 2 hours. When you come up to number 29, just learn this section and then stop. Then go and take a break, maybe 1 hour or 2 hours, or come back the next day to learn the next section. It doesn't mean that if we're doing 1 hour's work over here, you have to learn everything one day. You must learn a little bit, work the examples out, get them right. Take a small break, then come back, work more examples out, get them right, and then move. Always learn little by little and always learn step by step, and don't forget to take your breaks. So now we're going to go on to more examples on products, but don't try to learn everything in one go. You should really learn this in 2 different days. The next section that I'm doing, you should learn, say, tomorrow. Okay, but I'm going to complete the DVD today. Part 2. So like I told you, you should be spending about, say, roughly 2 to 3 hours to learn part 1, and then you take a nice break. A nice break means at least 2 hours break, or learn part 2 on the second day. And when you try to learn part 2, make sure that you fully understand part 1 and get everything right in part 1 and get 100% in part 1. Alright, let's move on to part 2 and let's take an example. Let's take an example. Alright, so suppose I told you a plus 5, and let's call it example 1, into a minus 7. So now in part 2 you're going to be multiplying 2 brackets or 3 brackets. So you're multiplying 2 brackets or 3 brackets. And how do you do it? Well, what you do is actually you take the second bracket. Okay, you take the second bracket and write it down 2 times. A minus 7, a minus 7. And you can see I've left enough space over here and I've left enough space over here. So take the second bracket and write it 2 times. Then what's here? This is a. So you write this first term in front of the first bracket. And then what's left here? Plus 5. Then you write plus 5 in this space. Okay? So that's what you do. You take the second bracket and you write it down 2 times. And then you take the first term and write it in front of the first bracket. You take the second term, which is plus 5, and you write it together with a plus sign, plus 5. Right? You must write down that sign there. Whether it's plus or minus, you have to write it down like that. Okay. And once you've done that, then you say, ha, there's no problem hereafter, because now it's all like part 1. This is like part 1. This is like products that we learned in part 1. We're going to find those 2 answers and just add those answers up. So we fire up. Now what we're doing, we're multiplying a times a, which gives you a squared. A plus times minus gives you minus. A times 7 gives you 7a. Well, we're finished with the first bracket. Now the second bracket you're going to multiply by 5 times a, and then you're going to multiply 5 times minus 7. So 5 times a, plus and plus will give you plus. 5 times a is 5a. Plus times minus gives you minus. 5 times 7, 35. Right. Now you'll recall something we learned under basics. In the middle here, we have what is called like terms. Like terms, you see? In the middle here, you can see that? We have like terms. A and A, those are like terms. If in your mind you're thinking they are powers and they are the same, you're absolutely right. Because if they are powers and they are the same, then they form what is called like terms. So you can say same powers or you can say like terms. But we talk about like terms, so these are like terms. So what you do now, the a squared will remain the a squared. We are adding minus 7 and plus 5. So minus 7 plus 5 will give you minus 2. So when you add this 2 up, you get minus 7 plus 5 giving you minus 2. And we added the terms in a, that's why we just write down a like that, minus 35. So that's your final answer. Okay, now let's do another little example, right? Say you had x plus 2 into x minus 3. So you'll say, well, I'm going to take the second bracket and I'm going to write it down 2 times. Leave a space here and leave a space here. In the front here, I'm going to write down the first term, which is x. And in the middle there, I'm going to write down the second term, which is plus 2. And you must write it with the sign. If it's plus 2, you write it as plus 2. If it's minus 2, you write it with minus 2. In this case, it's plus 2, so I'm writing plus 2. And then after that, it's straightforward multiplication, like the things we did before. You're going to multiply that, and you're going to multiply that and that. Now, when you multiply x times x, you get x squared. X times minus 3 gives you minus 3x. Now you're multiplying 2 times x and then 2 times minus 3. Plus 2 times x gives you plus 2x. Plus 2 times minus 3 gives you minus 6. Once again, in the middle over here, you can see that we have like terms. So x squared will remain here. Minus 3 plus 2 will give you minus 1x. We're adding the terms in x. You only write down x like that. Minus 6. So that's your final answer. Alright, so that is how we multiply two brackets. If there are two brackets, take the second bracket, write it down twice. Take the first term, write it in front of the first bracket. Take the second term, write it in front of the second bracket with the sign. And then multiply, and you come up with that. And then when you look in the middle, you've got like terms. You must add your like terms. Minus 7a plus 5a gives me minus 2a. Bring down the a squared, bring down the minus 35. And the same thing happened in this example. You've got two brackets. Write down the second bracket 2 times. Write down the first term in front of the first bracket. Write down the second term in front of the second bracket. Then multiply, and you end up with that. Then in the middle you have like terms. If you have like terms, you can add them up. So in this case they are like, we can add them up. Just bring down the x squared. Minus 3 plus 2 gives you minus 1. Minus 1x, minus 6. Alright, so let me just give you a few examples to try. And you will try them, and then we'll move on to another type of example. Alright, so just get ready for an exercise. Two times. You wrote the second bracket 2 times. In front of the first bracket you wrote 2. In front of the second bracket you wrote plus x. Sorry about that, this space is not enough. So there's your second bracket, and in front of your second bracket you wrote plus x. And then you just multiplied. 2 times 3 gives you 6. 2 times x gives you plus 2x. X times 3 gives you plus 3x. X times x gives you plus x squared. And then when you look in the middle, you have some like terms. So there, bring down the 6. 2 plus 3 will give you 5. So it's 5x. Bring down the x squared. So there's your answer for number 30. Now we move on to number 31. So I'm going to write the second bracket 2 times. 3 plus x. Leave enough space. 3 plus x. And in the front here we're going to write 5. In the middle there we're going to write minus x. Be careful. You're going to write minus x. Minus x. You cannot leave out that sign. And then you're going to multiply. So you're going to say, well, 5 times x, 5 times 3, 5 times x. X times 3, x times x. Okay, so 5 times 3, 15. 5 times x, 5x. Minus times plus is minus. X times 3 is 3x. We don't say x3, we say 3x. See, x times 3, we say 3x. Minus times plus is minus. X times x is x squared. Once again in the middle we have terms which are alike. These terms are alike. So 5 minus 3 plus 5 minus 3 will give you plus 2x minus x squared. Okay, so that finishes number 31. Let's move on to 32. Write down the second bracket 2 times. There we are. Write down the 3 in the front here. And in the middle here, you've got to write minus 80. See, you've got to be careful. It's minus here, so you've got to write minus 80. And then you're going to multiply. And then you're going to say, well, it's going to be 3 times 5, 3 times a times 5, a times 80. Okay. You don't have to make those marks. I'm just making those marks like